Welcome, everyone, to the 7th episode of the 792 Florida Sports Podcast. I'm Hunter Williams. Eric Clark and Doug Pugh were unable to join today, but I am joined by a special guest. Philip Myers from Dream King Films is back on the 792. Welcome, Philip.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me, man. How everybody doing out there?
Glad to be able to bring you back on. This is going to be the first episode that we have the exact team from another episode, because we've been switching all around every week.
Yes, sir.
So far this season, there's been quite a few surprises. I know that if we went back and listened to that episode that we were on for, we probably would have realized that we probably missed on a couple of games we were hitting on there, but there was quite.
We missed on more than a couple, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. There were some very big surprises in that group, but I guess that's what makes high school football great. We never truly know what to expect.
Yes, indeed. That's one of the great things about it. It's any given Friday. They say any given Sunday, but it's truly any given Friday. Most definitely.
I will, before we hit into this past week and then this week, I am curious with that week one, what was your, of the three, there was three major blowouts by arguably the best three in Duval County. Of those three was Trinity Christian. They were blown out by Columbia. Rains blown out by Orlando Jones. And then Lee blown out by Bartram. Of those three,
I would say, go ahead.
Of those three, what would probably be the biggest one that surprised you more than any of them?
Lee getting handled pretty decently by Bartram Trail, because I actually picked Lee to win that game. The Columbia game, I was surprised that they got blown out, but I mean, it wasn't no surprise that Columbia won. But not only did I didn't think Bartram could beat Lee, I definitely didn't think they could blow him out. And then, of course, the Ringbar and Creekside game, that was like the biggest upset and miss of week one right there. Nobody had Creekside beating Ringbar.
And then the Orlando Jones-Rains game?
Well, I wasn't surprised by that, because if you just look at the teams, I picked Rains to win, but that was kind of like a homer pick there. That wasn't anything based to do with, the talent. I think I explained that to it didn't even have anything to do with the actual matchup itself. It was just a homer pick.
Well, I got you on that.
Yeah.
But, I will say, I wasn't surprised that Jones was able to win, because I did say during the show I would not be surprised if Jones found a way to win it. But I was more or less just like with the Lee game and the Columbia game, it wasn't the result that truly surprised me. It was how decisive the result was.
I would agree with that too. Rains gave up a 200-yard rush or something they haven't done in probably all my years of covering them. Maybe once the Bowles, I believe a few years ago, Bowles in the playoff game had ran all over them. But outside of that, Bowles really doesn't give up that. Rains really don't give up that many yards, rushing yards like that on the ground. So I was shocked at how it happened, but not so much that it did happen.
Outside the week one games, there on the past 2 weeks, was there any results that truly surprised you?
Nothing surprising though. I was surprised that I thought Columbia would beat Oakley pretty handily, but I was surprised that went down to the final drive. But outside of that, nothing surprising though. Yeah,
that game, I did kind of feel like that week that it was going to be a bit closer than most were predicting. For one, Columbia was down 3 receivers that game. And then just from looking at Oakley, when I started looking at the roster, I was like, okay, this team's a little bit more balanced than Trinity, so I would not be surprised if this one ends up surprising people with how close it was. I will say, Oakley did impress me, even in that loss. They looked like a very good team, and I personally wouldn't be surprised if they found a way to win that district.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they found a way to win the district, but I was surprised because I thought Trinity was I wouldn't say head and shoulders better than Oakley, but I thought if Trinity played Oakley 5 times, they would probably win 4 times. So with that being said, with Columbia pretty much having their way with Trinity, I thought for sure that Columbia would go in and have their way with Oakley. But like we said, it's high school football, so we truly don't know from week to week.
And speaking of week to week, week 3, I would say that was last week. I was probably bored of our game probably by halfway through the second quarter. It was a full-on beatdown. I saw it was 10 for 10 on Columbia's drives were all ending in touchdowns. In fact, the first three drives, Columbia scored on the first play from scrimmage. And then you had a punt return for a touchdown for the fourth one.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it was. I went to the Reigns and Stanton game a couple days ago. It was a makeup game from week 3. It's pretty much how it was as well. 67-0 was the final score. Reigns could have, when I say could have beat them way worse, they wasn't returning punts. They wasn't rushing. They only rushed the punter one time, and the one time they did rush the punter, they blocked it. They only returned one kick, one punt return. It's like they took it so easy on them. It was crazy.
I could probably say the same for Columbia over AA Christian. It really did feel like they could have beat them by more points if they really wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Like if Ray had a mindset to score 100 points against that, they could have easily.
I wouldn't have been surprised if that ended up being the result. We did see a lot of very big blowouts this past week.
Yeah, it was a bunch of blowouts.
Was that the only game in this past week you got a chance to check out?
No, it was pretty much all the games this past week was wiped out, and so I called that because they played on a Tuesday, and I was right around the corner. I had went to a couple of middle school games, but last Friday I went to Trinity versus Venice Indians.
Oh yeah,
that was a real big game.
Yeah, I managed to catch the very end of that game, like once it went to overtime, from your video, in fact. But one of the things I was what was your impressions from that game?
Well, I mean, everything just all over the place. Everything that you could ask for in a football game, that game right there provided. Ton of offensive plays, great defensive plays. And, of course, double overtime. So, basically, my takeaway from it was a game for the age, to tell you the truth.
I was very impressed with Trinity, especially after how I saw them, for them just, 2 weeks later to be going neck and neck with a state power from Sarasota area. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle some of these upcoming games they have. In fact, we'll hit on their American Heritage game in a little bit. But I guess we'll go ahead and get started with some of the Week 4 games. Bartram Trail, I believe they'll be hosting Mandarin. This game...
they will be hosting Mandarin.
That's going to be a pretty good district game right there. Both for teams are undefeated.
It may be the biggest game to date. Outside of, of course, Trinity is Trinity. They got the schedule, but that Mandarin and Bartram Trail game, that may be the biggest game in the area today. Of course, Reigns and Lee play tomorrow.
We'll also hit on that game in a little bit, too.
Okay.
But what's your expectations of that Bartram Trail Mandarin game?
Great quarterback play on both sides. Chad Johnson of Bartram against, Carson Beck. Yeah, the highly touted Carson Beck. Those speedy running backs from Bartram Trail, AJ Jones and Eric Weatherly, two of the fastest guys in the 904 area, going up against some of those terrific playmakers from the Mandarin defense like Travis Moss and URL Richardson. It's going to be a hell of a matchup, and I won't be able to make it, and it's a shame, but that will be a hell of a matchup.
Who you leaning in that game?
I got to go with Mandarin just because on the high school level, I think I explained this before, I'm going with the quarterback. Like, whenever I put two teams together, if I have a quarterback, let's just say I believe this quarterback is head and shoulders above this quarterback, and I think Carson, although I think Chad is really, 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 really good, really, 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 really good, I have him in my top 10. It's just, I think Carson Beck is just a cut above. You know what I'm saying? I think he will do what it takes to will them the victory.
This is a game that I was kind of going back and forth on and trying to decide who would win. In the end, I ended up deciding I'm going to take a little bit of a surprise route here. I'm going to take Bartram, I would say, in a minor upset at home here, probably by a touchdown.
A full touchdown?
Okay, I guess maybe 4 points to be more exact.
Yeah, that sounds fair. But it would be a minor upset if Bartram could pull it out. And they got the tools to pull it out. I just think Mandarin with the quarterback, Phil Carson, versus Chad, that Mandarin would be able to squeeze this one out. But it's going to be a great game again. Like, I know I keep saying that, but that's going to be a great game.
Hasn't Beck been struggling, though, a bit this year?
Well, okay, the way I see it is like, he's so good, he's like, his struggling is a hell of a night for another quarterback. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so Beck come out, throw 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's struggling for Beck. But another quarterback, you know what I'm saying, he'll take those numbers, especially in a win.
I guess that's a fair point.
Yeah, it just Beck lit it up so much because I had this conversation with a coach a couple weeks ago. It's just he lit it up so much last year because he's not coming in with those same numbers. It just seems like he's struggling, but he's only struggling in comparison to his numbers, not in comparison to like anybody else, because he's basically on par with everybody else. But he's only struggling based on the numbers he put up.
All right. Here's this should be an interesting matchup. Columbia's going to be hosting Pine Forest. This seems to be, it's a pretty rare to see the Panhandle teams, especially Pensacola, coming out into the Northeast Florida area. From what I've been like gathering when it comes to Pine Forest, they do seem to be a pretty solid team. I did talk to the Pensacola Reporter a few days ago about this, and I kind of do feel like this team could be a similar matchup to like Oakley, perhaps, in terms like they have like very similar positions that are strong. I'm going to lean Columbia probably in a very close one. I would say probably 4 to 7 points. I just don't really feel like I don't think it's going to be pretty lopsided, even though I'm sure some people out there probably have labeled this a game that'll be lopsided. I just can't see it.
No, I don't see it either. Because Pine Forest, I believe a 5A football team, they always have a ton of athletes that come out of their program, and they're gonna come to play. They already know, Columbia. They're a well publicized team as far as the athletes and the talent that they have year in and year out. And this win or a win would bode well for a Pine Forest team. And so they actually going to be coming to play, so it's not going to be a blowout. But I do think Columbia have enough to win that game, though.
Most definitely. Here's another one. Seminole versus DeLand.
Yeah.
This one should be pretty interesting. I believe this is... I believe this is a district game as well. I'm trying to remember. I forgot where this game's being played, though.
Yeah, it's kind of like a picking game there. Although Seminole, that's a powerhouse team right there. They usually every year have a ton of athletes. Seminole 8A program too, correct?
They're both 8A programs, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big district matchup.
I'm gonna lean DeLand in a close one here, and I'm sure my co-host Doug's gonna be very happy to hear me picking them.
I go with DeLand in that as well. Just a true picking game. Not knowing much of what Seminole got, but I do know Seminole is a very tough team. But I think DeLand seems to be on the mission this year, though.
I agree, and from looking at the 8A North, I would not be surprised if DeLand somehow is the team that comes out of the 8A North to get to the finals.
Hey, when you say finals, you mean state finals?
Yeah.
I can't go that far just yet, man, because this 8A so talented. I just don't know what stage is yet, but you can't count out the state the reigning state champions, Mandarin Mustangs.